Every time I go on a radio show that's beamed into Iran, and the best one, by the way, is Radio Israel. Every time I go on a radio show that's beamed into Iran, and the best one, by the way, is Radio Israel. Every time I go on a radio show that's beamed into Iran, and the best one, by the way, is Radio Israel. This is, I believe, the absolute core reason behind the development of nuclear weapons today in Iran. They're not doing this for deterrence, although I believe in the past they have, because they believe that by using these weapons, they will go to paradise. Because they believe that by using these weapons, they will go to paradise. Do ordinary Iranians believe this? Some of them do. Now let me tell you what really keeps me up at night. It's not Iran's nuclear weapons program. It's Iran's focus on what we call an EMP weapon. Yes. Yep. Electromagnetic pulse. And it will take our country back to the year 1820. 1820. And you're going to be eating whatever you can hunt, fish, grow, or catch, and defend and bring home from walking distance of your house. And that's it. A descent into savagery, gangs, gang warfare, assaults, Satanism, I mean, all kinds of things, just the horrors, the dregs of the human soul which come out when there is no controlling authority. It is not something that I would like to live through. It's not something I would like my children to live through. So this is what the Iranians are working on. Every time I go on a radio show that's beamed into Iran, and the best one, by the way, is Radio Israel. But I'd like to talk about Iran's ties to Al-Qaeda and Iran's direct ties, material ties to the 9/11 plot, because I think it's something you haven't heard an awful lot about.
Jundallah, just a little bit of background. Seymour Hersh of The New Yorker, the London Daily Telegraph, and Brian Ross of ABC News all agree that they're on the CIA payroll. This is the $400 million in the Iran Regime Change Act approved under Bush.
Right.
This guy had been meeting with And some say the NATO Secretary General, Jaap de Hoop Scheffer, met this terrorist. Certainly NATO generals in Afghanistan, so they operate as an arm of NATO strategy.
The people we are fighting today, we funded 20 years ago. And it was President Reagan, in partnership with the Congress, led by Democrats, who said, you know what, sounds like a pretty good idea. Let's deal with the ISI and the Pakistani military, and let's go recruit these mujahideen, and let's get some to come from Saudi Arabia and other places, importing their Wahhabi brand of Islam.
In Syria, everybody knows that Al-Qaeda is the CIA.
Let's go recruit these mujahideen, and let's get some to come from Saudi Arabia and other places, importing their Wahhabi brand of Islam.
Our problem is not even with an Iran armed with nuclear weapons. Our problem is the regime itself.
You and I and everybody that you know, we will become Muslims or we will become dead. That is Islamic justice. And in fact, there's a concept in Islam which is very important, and I know that Rabbi Jonathan has talked about this with Geert Wilders, a concept called fitna.
Perhaps to Westerners used to the scenes of conflict between Jews and Muslims in Palestine, the concept of Jews living happily in a Muslim state is a strange one. But here in Iran, it doesn't appear unusual.
We will become Muslims or we will become dead.
We have to delegitimize the Islamic Republic of Iran regime in every possible venue. And how come those of you who live in the southern suburbs of Tehran, you can't have clean water to drink? You can't get a bus to go to work. You know, but I'm all in favor of sanctions. We must pursue sanctions as far as we possibly can, but we should have no illusions that sanctions will change the behavior of this regime.
We have heard that 500,000 children have died. I mean, that's more children than died in Hiroshima. And you know, is the price worth it?
I think this is a very hard choice, but we think the price is worth it.
Both Israel and Saudi Arabia are much more dangerous enemies to the United States than the Iranians are. So when you look at these kind of things, you have to ask, who would benefit from the war? The Israelis and the Saudis would love to see our money and our young men and women being killed to fight their enemies in Iran.